I knew things were going too smoothly, and it's because I forgot to actually plug in my mic and set it up, so I did everything else except that. So we're off to a great start. Okay. So here's what we're doing. One of the things that bugs me about Crossrays, and has bugged me ever since I loaded the game up for the first time, is if we go up here to the stage flow, you can see that there's a fairly limited amount of stuff in terms of like what goes on from each thing, right? So you got Wing, then G Unit, then Endless Waltz, and then most of Seed, and some of Astray, including OOF for some really cursed reason, and then a fairly long story for Iron-Blooded Orphans. One of the problems that I've had with it is that it can often feel like you aren't really advancing very far because the tech tree is more wide and shallow than it is like really deep like in Genesis. So this challenge, we are going to be playing the game using only, quote unquote, custom characters. Now, if you're not familiar with custom characters in Crossrays, they kind of really suck. So if we go over to look at Crossrays, stats and stuff, so we come over here, blah, blah. Basic starting stats, one character skill, okay. Here's the thing. It's this button, no, this one, sure. See how there's a little indicator right here? Like by one. So you can't just spend your credits or whatever on buying whatever you want for a character. You have to actually have the skill in the stock. So the issue with this is that because they don't learn like all the really broken stuff, and in Overworld, custom characters had really good skills that were available to them. That's not true here. So we have to deal with that, and our starting stats are kind of terrible. Like 120 is high for a custom character, but if we look at the default characters, they have like 150s in stats, or like this guy has 200, girl has 200 melee, this guy has 250 awaken and 10 in every other stat, which is really funny. So we're already kind of starting out behind the curve. But the other thing here is if we go to the scout list, I only have Sieg at the moment because I haven't done anything on this file except make the custom characters yet. But you can see his stats are kind of cracked, and on top of that, actually, does he have... Yeah, so, and he comes with Vengeance. Characters can come with much better skills than is legal for custom characters. So, for example, if we jump over to IBO, like, you can see that you can win these off these characters. So, like, you know, control, marksmanship, ranged weapons efficiency in this case. And characters like Mika, who you would unlock via a quest, for example. So I think... Can I actually look at this, or... No, okay, so I can't look at it yet, but for example, all the IBO characters come with the Alaya Viliana thing, the cockpit system, which is necessary to unlock the potential of IBO units. So that makes things significantly harder for us. So I do want to go over some notes that I had. This originally started as a thing that I was going to do off stream, but I just like had no motivation and was never getting it done. So fuck it, we'll do it live. So let's go over the rules here, right? So we're not going to scout characters or use welfare characters. So any character that we personally deploy, well, it's on PC, and so it's available. That's good. So any character that I put into these slots has to be a character that I've made using custom character. I can't use like a welfare character, so like I can't use any of these characters that the game gives you to start with, all of the Sunrise originals. So can't do that. But using guest characters in stages is okay. First, it would add a lot of tedium to the game for no real benefit to constantly have to run guest units away from enemies. Filling out the get gauge is really important for getting new units, and a lot of quests that unlock things like modifications or units and so on, like you need to use the guest character for them, and most missions to progress the stage or even clear the stage, you often have to use the guest characters. So not only would that be kind of boring to not get a full clear, the first leg of most sorting missions is pretty trivial. So it's like the second half after the event with the guest character that's usually the interesting part. Third, I can only use dispatches when I put the game down for after a session, and I can't use teams solely to farm dispatches while I'm playing. This one might change depending on how awful money gets, but the point of this is so that I don't just like not actively play the game and just do dispatches for about 5 months. But there are some things in the game that are locked behind dispatches, so I want to do them to a degree, but not like in the background while I'm playing the game. And a lot of the like really hard and I also need to do at least one successful mission before I can put out another dispatch. Yeah, this one's an SRPG, as I'll see when I'm done going over the rules and the setup, which is going to take a minute, I'm sorry. So, except for selling the ingot, which is, let's go and do that now. It's not actually here. Hold on. That's right, it's in captures. So because I have whatever DLC, I get to start with this, which I can sell for significantly more money, which is nice. This is the only part of the DLC that I'm going to use, and then only because it makes things less of a pain in the ass early in the game. The other DLC that I have is like one, the only available DLC that I have is these, which are way too expensive to make, and I don't really want to just like go straight to them because that would be silly. And most of the like expansion pass dispatches are just way too difficult. And finally, we'll be playing the game on hard to start with, and then we'll switch to extra once my units start to get about 250 stats. So when I was initially testing this, I did do a test run playing solely on extra difficulty, but what that basically meant was that I just spent increasingly huge amount of turns just rotating units in and out and not actually playing the game. It didn't make it more difficult, it just made it really tedious. Hey, Kyber. Oh yeah, Overworld got an English patch, which made that really useful, although it wasn't a very good patch. Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so first things first, we got to think about what are we going to do to start with, right? So the big problem here is Iron-Blooded Orphans, which is all the way down here somewhere. So here's the problem with IBO. Most of the units in IBO have nanolaminate armor, and that just cuts 4,000 damage off beam attacks. It's actually disgusting. So I don't want to be taking in a lot of beam using units, And that's a bit of a problem because that's what you start with. So the strategy that I hit on, which I think I'm going to want to keep doing, is that we're actually going to go into Gundam Seed Astray, because Astray has a lot of kinetic weapons instead of beam weapons. So my plan is that we'll go into Astray and pick up a bunch of those, and then we'll go into IBO, and then we can use IBO to go through Seed, which is full of beam weapons, and Double O, which is full of beam weapons, and hopefully have a bit of an easier run of it. Stray, here we go. Yeah, so I owned actual copies of World and Overworld, but I predominantly play it on the emulator at this point, in part because it does not run well on a hardware PSP. Yeah, in particular, the two that I would really want to see translated, three actually, are Advance, DS, and Neo, because all of those use a Super Robot style unified setting and are really interesting. It's really funny to me that Astray's plot kind of illustrates like how messy Seed was in the background, but so much of it is just because Lowe's guys turned up here to loot the colony and everything went wrong. Yeah, that one is a bit of a casualty of the kind of sloppy way that Seed's setting design was done. So in Astray's original setting, the implication was that the computer that Lopez ate was actually the combat computer of the RX-782 Gundam from UC Gundam. Which is why it's got the 8 logo on it, because that was the only part of it that like hadn't been worn down by time. Astray does manage to be like better than Seed in a lot of ways, but that particular setting beat is just a great illustration of how messy Seed's production was. Especially because at the time, the party line was that like all series ended up unified in Turn A. So in a lot of ways, there was less explicit delineation between like alternate universe series and Universal Century series, but also between individual series. Oh yeah, the what's it called? The 150 meter Gerbera straight version, where it's like just a power loader basically. Unfortunately, Lo is an idiot. Yeah, the back half of Astray tries to make Seed make a lot more sense, because Seed itself didn't make a lot of sense. And then that in turn got back adapted into Seed anime, so there's a couple of scenes during the like last leg of the show where you can actually see the home hanging out and providing repair work, but none of the characters actually appear. So yeah, this stage, for example, there you go. Like, you know, I have to use the guest unit, and if we look at show lists, quest list. And we look at this stage, for example, I have to clear the stage after fulfilling the secret conditions. So I need to actually make sure that I destroy the enemy unit with the beam rifle. Like, and as you can see just by looking at Lo, his stats are way better than any of the custom characters. And he has Junk Guild, so all of his weapons just cost less energy, which is also very strong.
99%以下は100%じゃないんだぜ。
俺の前に姿を晒した。お前の運命は決まった。
Rare footage of Low being correct.
俺たちを倒すとはな、見事な腕だ。
どうだい、最強だろ俺の悪運は。
So this is another reason that I want to use the guest characters. Filling out their get gauges is really important for building up a stockpile of units that I can produce. Something kind of funny about Elijah is that in Astray stages, he tends to kind of get dunked on, but in most games that he appears in, like so in World and Overworld, for example, he's really good because he's one of only 3 characters who begin with the mercenary skill, which gives all of their weapons +1 range, which is, you know, exactly as stupid as it sounds. Especially because unlike Super Robot Wars, except for map weapons, you can use any weapon after moving in this game. So +1 range goes a really long way. The Astray writer wrote Guy with the premise that he would be like the strongest warrior in Seed, and kind of wrote what he thought would be like what would happen to that character, I guess. And the original scenario writer was apparently not super pleased with that. Oh yeah, this is a problem, isn't it? There we go. So yeah, see, like, we wouldn't be able to get the secret condition which we need without Guy being involved, so I am going to use the guest units, but it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. Okay, yes, I did remember to put it on hard. So let's go over who we've got here. These characters, this one, Valoran, was provided by Valoran, one of my mods, to be a captain, and then like the other 5 characters here are just characters that I threw together to be crew for a warship, who can pretty much be ignored. Can I not? Okay, I guess I can't. Let's start moving you. Yeah, welcome to hard mode. Enemy stats are pretty significant. So here's my stand-in. This character, I wrote this down everywhere so I didn't have to check. So this character is designed so they have a plus shooting base and they'll get plus shooting and plus command growths. This character, Misha, is from... Nisha? Did I write Misha? No, it is Nisha, okay. It was submitted by Luna Leica, who is a Discord member. They have all-round starting stats and have command and defense growth type, which is why she's in here as the leader for this squad. Yuki was submitted by Yuki. Plus range base and good growths in everything except command, so not a leader character. I don't know how they've ended up with plus melee stats here, unless I fucked up when I made them, but we will jump off that bridge when we come to it. This character, Kawaiugu, this one has a bit of story to it, so this was based on a crowdsourced character from an Overworld playthrough that never got finished. And Overworld like only favors custom characters a little bit more than normal characters, in part because they have really good buyable skills. Their stats tend to suck, but this character did much better than I expected, and I got pretty attached to her. So here she's meant to be a late bloomer melee character. So hopefully I did that right. I'm starting to become concerned that I may have screwed up. Midori, this one was also by Lauren. This is another shooter character with good all-around stats. So let's see what we can do. Can this disperse? No, it lost that. Because we don't do that in AU Gundam. Actually, something fun about this is that Carry Base has a different design in this game, because the UC ship that it's based on doesn't exist, which is a really nice touch. So instead it's based more on the Seed Magellan class ships. Yeah, I didn't even notice until it was pointed out to me, and then it's like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. So yeah, this is what hard mode looks like. It's pretty rough. Yeah, that was 1/3 of my health. Did I? Okay, I did. So the localization for this game was done under the same like bottom of the barrel strategy that has been used for Eternal, and I'm pretty sure it's mostly just machine translations because it like consistently gets possessives wrong, and it has the very normal machine translation problem of picking like the most aggressive way to translate anything. Yeah, so what she actually said is more like, I'll hit you, or please hit, or like, hit them. Parts of this have definitely been punched up by a human though, so it's not like as dire as Eternal. Yeah, so welcome to hard mode, where it takes my entire squad to kill one enemy. Extreme is like this, but even worse. So this is this game's gimmick. When you kill a boss character that's holding an ability, then you get access to that ability. You can equip it directly, which is free, but only for the character that killed them, or you can equip it to a character in the intermission by spending money. So this is like the most important thing that we're going to be doing, is trying to get those skills onto certain characters. I'm gonna move you over here, and the reason I'm gonna do that is to set up for a warship attack next turn. So yeah, 4,600 damage, and the unit has 9,800 HP. You can see the problem with playing on hard mode. So yeah, raid groups work a bit differently. I'll talk about that when and if it becomes relevant. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about these characters. So who we got here? John Jobber. This guy was provided by Big Malone. I believe he's a late bloomer melee character. Melee base, and then has an awakening growth type. So they're gonna get like all the 00 units. This character, Tsubaki, was provided by Aki. This one is plus awaken starting spread, but they have a general late bloomer growth type. We have Luke, submitted by Luke, who has, I wrote this down, where did I put it? there's a Discord channel that so he has plus defense and minus reaction base, and then plus ranged late bloomer growth type, so shooter character. And this one is Trace at Home, because we have Trace at Home, who is a defensive commander type character, so plus defense and plus command. So to give you an idea, if I was using like the default original characters, these would be like 70% hit rates or better. Oh, okay, it doesn't work like I thought it did, that's okay. Now, the big advantage that the new raid group has is that each member has their own area and they can do much better jobs of resupplying in the field. You don't need to have a close warship supporting them. And they can do raid link-ups, which are not as powerful as warship link-ups, but can cover a much wider area. Oh yeah, if you aren't familiar with this kind of SD Gundam game, if you lose a unit, it's gone forever. Like, you have to get a new one. So any loss is potentially a really big problem. So like, you can see that because the guest units are tuned to the difficulty level, they have like 75% hit rates as well. Hey, friends are a lot more important than like dumb computer stuff, right?
ちだ。なめんじゃねえぞ。甘い。
Meanwhile, Guy is basically invincible.
その腕でサーペントテールの相手をするつもりか。
Yeah, look at all of this. So, combat coordinator, so he just gets, for free, added to all of his stats except command, a value that is roughly 1/4 of the highest stats of any of my pilots. And all of his weapons just have 500 more power. Now, this is much more than it sounds like because of the way that the stats work, which I wrote down over here. I wrote down everything except the weapon power, but basically 500 weapon power is not the same as like 500 more damage. It's way more than that. In fact, like even Elijah, who is kind of treated like he's shit in Astray, has Mercenary again. Yes, we can. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to have to eventually. Oh, okay, that one's no good for you. That's a crew thing. That makes 2. Yeah. I'm going to try and avoid having to do that. Guy destroys one more enemy unit. Let's cross that off the list then. Huh. I thought that was going to kill. Okay. Now, can you move far enough to get a good link up? Not even close. Okay. How far can you move though? Down to there. So one step further, which is not even slightly enough. Okay. Yeah, they even nerfed I feel generators in Genesis and this game. In part because of that, I think. Because in World and Overworld, those worked like biblically accurate eye field generators. They just negated all beam weapons except piercing beam weapons, and those did 50% less damage. Yeah, I think we might just keep you a little ways back. If you are going to do that, my recommendation would actually be to just sell any of the units that you get from over impact, because otherwise you go to the top of the tech tree so fast that it just kind of sucks all the fun out of the game. Oh yeah, that's right. Some enemies will support attack each other if they get the opportunity to on hard mode, which is very difficult to cope with. Eternal does this as well, you have to really watch out for it. In particular, Glemmy's army of Puru clones in their mass production Quibbleys are like always super deadly in G Generation games, and Eternal is not an exception. I'm not convinced that won't kill me, so we're just going to defend that one. Actually, let's go with evade. There. As you can see, evading kind of sucks in this game. Okay, now as long as the other one doesn't fly over, this should be fine. If you've got a PC handy, it does have a Switch port, which is pretty good. That's what I'm using to do the playthrough where I'm doing all of the One Year War ones in chronological order. I'm concerned that Guy may disappear after the checkpoint, which I do not want to have happen, so I'm going to see if I can get the get gauge filled up now. There we go. Because if I can start using like blue frames instead of other stuff, that's a really good step. Let's just move Elijah over there. Oh yeah, normally like any halfway decent mechanic character would have will full heal your units in one turn, but that doesn't happen with the crew stats that custom characters have. Yeah, because the meteor units are too big to work it to fly in atmosphere. Yeah, so as you can see, not great stat growths either. And because we got the secret requirement, the secret units will spawn in, which in this case is just more of the same. But these ones come with a fairly significant benefit of coming with an ability holder. One thing that is different is that killing the leader no longer causes these ones to freeze down, so you can't capture them really easily. Yeah, kinda. I think it's probably a good thing in the context of this game.
撃破を確認。やりました。
So because capture, like close warship support is much less common in AU series, you don't get a lot of opportunities to actually capture units, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing because you would run up to the top of the tech tree just incredibly quickly. But especially because the tech tree in this game is pretty small. I'm actually going to have Low back off here. Yeah, that is the other thing, is that money is really thin on the ground in this game. Luke, what is this BGM that you told me to set for your character?
戦場では常に最悪のケースを想定する。
バカな、やられたってのか。
エネミー1ダウン。繰り返す。エネミー1ダウン。
見せてやるぜ、俺の真骨頂な。遊び半分で出てくんじゃねえよ。けやるじゃねえか。この野郎。
Oh yeah, the secret units are also worth like way more score, which is actually quite useful because score is what determines how much the get gauge is filled. Yeah, the one that I like to do in Overworld is the first core stage, which takes a bit longer, but if you get all the captures on it, it's worth a lot of money. So like if this kills, this should fill his get gauge quite significantly. Yeah, this game actually has a good money-making loop that I can't use because it relies on dispatches. Oh wow, that was worth way less than I thought it was going to be. Okay. You can't actually get an attack in from there, so let's keep you back. Fact. And we're going to back you up a little bit further. I don't believe so, but I might be wrong. The way that this game in Genesis hand out modifications is kind of cursed. I just needed to get back around to my turn before I can explain why that's the case. So if you bring up the quest here, see how it's just like gold rank modifications? This randomly chooses a modification from that tier as the reward. So if you're really unlucky, you could just not get like stuff that's necessary, like hangar expansions and stuff. And Genesis is the same way. So in World and Overworld, they were unlocked. Modifications were unlocked in the shop based on like how many missions you cleared. Like every time you cleared a mission, you'd unlock a new option part, and it was in a set order. But that's not the case in Genesis and Crossrays. I've actually been playing it quite a bit, and I'm honestly pretty pleased with it. Because I like the way that the development system in the game works, and I'm not a huge fan of some of the end game problems that games like World and Overworld have, where once you can put like an eye field on something, you no longer have many more reasons to play the game because there's no challenge. Like there's a lot of rough things about it because it is a gacha game, but it's not as predatory as it could be. Okay, and this is why we do warship link-ups, because they actually give a huge experience bonus. Nice miss. Yeah, the fact that they just like straight up released like a small series is kind of wild. Yeah, I haven't actually spent any money on it yet. I probably will at some point, but I wanted to play for a little bit and decide if I was going to keep it up, which I probably am, but I'm probably just going to like stick to buying coffee passes and so on. I think there's a fairly good chance that it will, based on the fact that they cared enough to like put an entire like new animation, new voice acting, new everything side story in it, which is kind of crazy. So I think there's a good chance it will stick around, and it seems like a lot of people are playing it as well, which will help them decide to keep it around. Yeah, although... So, the Dragoon Strike is technically a new design, but it's really more like an updated design of a design that was like known to exist but had no canonical presence. My strategy for like gacha games, as it were, is that I am like, I strictly forbid myself from buying rolls directly. If I want to spend money on it, then it has to be on a like daily pass or a battle pass if it has that, because you get a lot more over a long period of time that way, and it's it stops me from being like, oh, I'm just gonna like, you know, take out a loan from the Yakuza and max out my Skaha's Noble Phantasm. Well, you will definitely do a lot of grinding in Eternal. It's 2 to 4. The way that the last 4 series on the timeline work, 5 series on the timeline work, is that they basically require 3 times as many resources to develop units from them. So you will be there for a while. Yeah, I noticed that, which was kind of unusual. Yeah. Hell, I haven't done a bunch of the like normal Eternal Road stages yet. At the moment, because I was working on my big 5,000 word assessment for a lot of it, what I've been doing is like auto battling while I'm having breakfast and then not playing the game otherwise. Yeah, my phone is also not up to the task, so I've been playing it on PC. I did notice that they were like, would you like it if we had a PC client? And so I said, in the latest survey, so I was like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's see here. Alright, so let's talk a little bit more about stats. So the way warships work is a bit complicated. The captain takes like pretty significant hits to all of their stats except command, but the way that those are made up for is by the sub-pilots. So this character, the XO, based on their auxiliary stat, that bumps all of the captain stats, and then communicator adds to I think it's ranged, navigator is for reaction, mechanics is for defense, and guest is for charisma. These also do some other things like these influence hit and evade. Charisma goes into the size of the raid group, and also, I guess in this case it's the warship group, and also how much experience you get from link ups, and it causes more damage in link up attacks. And the defense one also is how much HP and energy units that are in it. Last one, yeah, all of these have goofy names because you won't see them outside of this menu. And as for the other stats, so let's go over that while we're between stages. So down here you can see we've got HP, energy, attack, defense, mobility. The way these work is very unintuitive and not much in the game tells you. So the defense value, this is directly subtracted from the attack value of the attacking mobile suit. So like a unit with 200 attacks into Phoenix Gundam, so that 190 gets reduced from that 200. Then the resulting value is divided by 10, and that serves as a 1% damage multiplier. which can be negative if the resulting value is negative. So like if the value after division is 10, then you will do 10% more damage. Yeah, I usually do that, but obviously that's not a thing in the challenge that we're doing. And for some reason, if the resulting value before division is higher than 590, then the damage multiplier is 2% instead, which is significant. Mobility actually does not influence the unit's hit and evasion directly. What it actually does is if the pilot's relevant attacking stat, so wrong thing. So if ranged or melee or reaction are higher than the mobility stat of the suit, then they're capped to the mobility stat of the suit. So if this pilot had like 800 in all of their stats, they would still be capped to 190 for everything but defense. So it kind of works like Limit in older Super Robot Wars games. Yeah, so because we really needed Limit back, guys. That's such a good fun mechanic. Yeah, it does also increase the critical chance and damage in link-up attacks for warships and raids. Size, this one is a simple accuracy modifier, so units that are small size, so S, multiply the attacker's accuracy by 0.9, so essentially a 10% penalty, and then M has a value of 1, and then the modifier rises by 1 each time you go up a size class to 1.3, so an XXL unit, you have a 30% plus hit chance against it. This is not relative, so XXL units both have plus 30% hit rate against each other. Yeah, it's in Genesis as well, but yeah, that is like very much a thing. But like, oh my god, it's at its worst in Super Robot Wars because money is so tight there. Whereas in this game, because you can just apply stats to the unit when it levels up, it's way less of a problem. Terrain capability, which is over here, this is way more important. So even though B is the average for most units, the B, C, and D actually reduce the movement of a unit in those terrains, and terrains really matter for accuracy and damage. So the attacker's terrain rating gives them a damage modifier based on their terrain capability, which is plus 10% at S and minus 30% at D. So it goes down by 10% each step. So 0 at A and then B is minus 10%. The defender's terrain rating modifies the attacker's accuracy, which is by 10% at S and by plus 20% at D. And subflight system terrain capability overrides the unit riding on it. So a unit that has like a B terrain, like this does, so like B terrain move 6, like I could put this on the unit, but it wouldn't do anything because it's still move 6 and B terrain. And there's not really like a good reason to do that just at the moment. Then for pilots, it's actually more complicated. So you'll notice that pilots have 2 sets of stats, which is, I think Genesis introduced this because World and Overworld just used these stats directly. So command increases any area generated by a pilot, so it increases by 1 for every 100 to 150 points or so, and caps at 10 at 999. And then if the character is in the master slot or is the warship captain, then those get an extra like base +1 area. And for raid groups, it instead uses the average of the entire team's command stat, so that every pilot in the raid group has the same area. And on warship captains, having a high command stat will also increase link-up damage. The ranged and melee stats, these are really not well explained. So normally you would expect that ranged and melee would be like damage stats and that reaction would cover accuracy and evade. That's not true at all. So what ranged and melee do is they do increase the base damage for weapons of that type, which is not actually by that much. But they are the main contributor towards attack accuracy. So this character is going to be significantly more accurate with a shooting weapon than with a melee weapon. And again, if the pilot's ranged and melee stats are higher than the unit's mobility stat, then they get capped to the unit's mobility stat. Defense and reaction reduce the enemy attacker's ranged and melee stat on the damage and accuracy sides respectively. So defense lowers the impact of ranged or melee on damage taken, and reaction reduces its impact on accuracy and cap to mobility as well. Awaken is the new type stat, so it aggressively increases the power, accuracy, and range of awakening type weapons, but those are pretty uncommon in Crossrays. But awakening weapons use the target's awaken stat in place of defense and reaction, as far as I can tell, because they aren't made less accurate by the enemy's reaction. So they're good for hitting like high accuracy targets, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. Something that is also worth pointing out is that this one's actually a bad example because that one is correct. Yeah, so pretty much every weapon effect has if attack is critical appended to it. This is a typographical error. Actually, this doesn't apply on anything except the actual critical effect, which is just critical hits do plus 20% damage. So this weapon, if it hits, will always just do a flat 500 damage on top of its calculated damage. And like a bunch of weapons have like when critical on them, and it's like, I think this one, yeah. Damage dealt varies with hit number. If attack is critical, no it doesn't. It varies with hit number all of the time. Yeah, kind of. It's certainly much more of a war game than games like Advance or DS, but at the same time, this setup has been used in various iterations since at least, I want to say Wars. It could even be Spirit, which was back in the PS2 era. So I'm going to go over here and this character train. We picked up this ability, Strategist 2, which increases auxiliary support. As you can see, equipping that costs 20,000 capital. So, oh, and you can't just like upgrade them. You have to like get a new copy of the ability. So, yeah, kind of rough. There's no more like pilot point system like there used to be. Unsurprisingly, I can't upgrade anything just yet. So, yeah, as you can imagine, this game is not really designed to be played like this, which is why we're playing it like this. Now, is this the really obnoxious asteroid field one? Yeah, this map sucks, so I'm going to go and do a different one first instead. The only question is, what different one should I do? Let's just do the first seed level. Not in this game, no. None of the... Oh, so in games like Overworld, it does have like unique stuff for if you have the right part in the right unit, and this game does have that as well. But it doesn't have stuff like in Advance where you could have characters like have conversations and get experience and stuff like that.
誰もが疑わなかった数で勝る地球軍の勝利だが当初の予測は大きく裏切られ戦局は疲弊したまますでに11ヶ月が過ぎようとしていた地球軍はこの膠着状態を打破すべく中立国オーブの資源衛星コロニーヘリオポリスにて極秘裏に新型モビルスーツと心臓戦艦を開発しかし
Yeah, World is a bit better about that. Every EX stage in World has a full FMV of characters like interacting, which is really cool. And Overworld did away with that, which I'm not super pleased about, but what can you do? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it did still have some stuff like that, like Shah mistaking ribbons for armor, which is pretty great. Did Kigali's voice actress like record her lines into a tin can? It's just her voice too, Kira's is fine. Not that I should be talking shit about mic quality, but, you know.
激しい戦火の中、ヘリオポリスに住む少年キラ・ヤマトは避難中、ザフトの狙いである地球軍のモビルスーツを目撃する。これって。 新型機動兵器お父様の裏切り者
So if you were late, one of the things that I screwed up at the start of the stream was I forgot to plug my mic in at all. Because I'm very professional at this.
そして偶然にもザフト兵の一人と対面したキラはその人物がかつての親友アスラン・ザラであることに気づく。
It's so weird seeing this scene play out and not have the ending theme blaring. Yeah, that's why he mistakes ribbons for Amuro, because it's the same voice. Since ribbons in general is like a parody of Amuro.
そして運命は少年たちをモビルスーツのコックピットへと誘い、戦いの宿命が今ガンダムと共に動き出そうとしていた。
Like, even in G Generation Advance, when the like staring at each other over the mobile suit scene happens, the Game Boy Advance blares a very credible version of the ending theme, which honestly sounds quite good. A lot of the music in Advance is surprisingly good, given that the Game Boy Advance is not the best sound chip ever. I wonder if this game does the remaster retcon where Nicole throws himself onto Kira's sword so that his dying isn't Kira's fault. Unlike in the original broadcast where he got in the way to shield Athrun and Kira did not give a shit. You know, they never got around to explaining why, like, anytime you scrape a blade on phase shift armor, it causes these huge sparks. And it kind of goes away after the first, like, episode or two. So I'm thinking they just animated it that way because it looks cool and then stopped doing it. Actually, no. Nicole does come the closest to causing serious damage. When he attacks the Archangel the first time Kira pops his seed factor. But Kira is the first one among them to score a legitimate kill, being responsible for killing Miguel and Ola. And he also kills Nicole. Toll doesn't die until the middle of Athrun and Kira's like climactic clash. Yeah, could be. What was the condition? I totally forgot. Oh, Schneider, okay. Yeah, so, yeah, look at this, like, Kira just gets plus 30, whereas the characters that I started with, right, have stats where 120, which 30 is 1/4 of, is like their highest stat. So he's basically just got as one single bonus ability, 1/4 of my character's stats applied, which is just goes to show how crappy custom characters are. They really are. I mean, nuclear reactors don't work like that anyway, so it's not like there's any realism to be applied to that situation. Oh yeah, and they nerfed phase shift armor in this really hard. Look at this. So, I guess it's sort of a nerf and sort of a buff. So you now take 2,000 less from all physical weapons to a minimum of 0, which is good. But the energy consumption is now 15, which is a lot, but only at the start of the turn, instead of every time it procs. Mind you, Seed like jumps the shark way before the debacle with Operation Angel Down. Because pretty much the moment Kira gets the freedom, the show turns to shit. Except for the soundtrack, which is amazing.
僕がやるしかないんだ。捉えた。何？ハイドル応答なし。多元駆動システム停止。僕にはまだやらなきゃいけないことがあるんだ。
In one of the few retcons in the remaster that actually makes sense, they added a new sequence here where it's clear that Kira has actually disabled the Jinn and Miguel self-destructs it to avoid it being captured. Yeah. It's like the only good thing the remaster did was add that sequence. The entire rest of it is like shit. Oh, and Miguel's custom colors Jin, which literally never appears in the show, appears in the opening for some reason. Yeah, but the thing is, right, if you don't already know that Miguel has like an Ace Colors Jin that never appears because it's under repairs, then it just showing up in the opening sequence doesn't make much sense. And it's only for a brief moment too, so it's really only for people who already knew about it. No, that's Rusty. Miguel is the blonde guy who Kira fights at the, like, his first fight. We do actually know a little bit about Rusty. He's a red jacket, so he's on the same level as the other elites. And he's the one who gets shot in the face by Maru when Kira warns her about being fired upon by the Zaft infiltrators. Yeah, that's true. So Rusty's that guy. Miguel is primarily notable because for some reason, even though it never comes up in the show, the setting materials indicate that he has an incredibly cool ace title. So apparently his nickname is the Magic Bullet of Dusk, which sounds awesome, and is the main reason that a lot of people remembered him. The other one is Ola, who is also killed by Kira during the fights in Heliopolis, and is a green flight suit guy. In keeping with the Xeon style individuality that they tried to do for Zaft, there's a lot of like most of the crew under Le Creuset have names, even if you only hear them one or two times. and a lot of them have at least small backstories or information about them. Whereas, very nice. I think Miguel gets cut in half by Sword Strike, actually. Getting the callback to that in Seed was actually really nice. That's a cute emote. And he's only mostly dead in Seed. Yeah, they mentioned in the patch notes for this latest patch that they were adding voices to some of the GQ characters. What's her name? Amano or something like that? Okay, here we go. Is there enough room for no? Okay, let's. Is this not atmospheric terrain? Okay, apparently this is not atmospheric terrain, so I can't play flying units, which is interesting. Alright, so we're done with secrets on this stage, except for this one, which is Kira defeats Athrun, which should be no problem. I don't know how aggressively I want to move him though. Because, let's see, oh, Kira's just like really good, okay. Yeah, presumably it is actually like ground terrain and then in the air it's space terrain, but it was kind of weird that it would not let me deploy the helicopter. In fact, my flying units can't even fly, so yeah, this is presumably actually space. Yeah, okay, there we go. It is space terrain. Look at that. For some reason. Oh, wait, hold on. It might be because so the stage may transition into a space stage on after the break if it goes to the Heliopolis collapse bit. in which case it's actually really sensible.
共にこの戦場をかけるぞガンダム
So the perfect strike had been an MSV thing, like as soon as the first seed MSV dropped, but it wasn't until remastered that it ever got animated, and even in remastered it's only on screen for like 30 seconds.
こんなにも鋭く予想以上にダメージが大きい
Yeah, in this version of events, that skit with the launcher strike didn't actually happen, so the colony is still doing okay.
Here we go!
やらせはしない。
ここで敵を食い止めるべきよ移動熱源なおも健在
なんだとこの程度のダメージで
What are these guys? Oh, they don't even have beam weapons, except for these two, who have lots of beam weapons, so I don't need to worry too much about plonking people in the depth charge range. I used to have a really good exploitable of that frame, but I lost it when my hard drive crashed.
当てられたのか ここまでなのか
あの敵私が倒した
Yeah, some of the voices have very English voice work attached to them because it's funny.
私もお手伝い そうこなくっちゃなやってやる
Welcome to Ocelot Shack. You've got questions. I've got bullets.
俺としたことがなかなかやるみたいだがこれを止めるには力不足のようだぜ
Please actually hit.
お願い
この間合い
Aha!
隙だらけだ
Well, the Turn A ones were designed by a Western mechanical designer because they wanted them to look really different.
今のは結構効いたよ
All Yeah, Shining in particular, I think, is a really good looking unit. The fact that it's designed to have like all of its weapons inbuilt means that there's no like shitty extraneous kibble on it, so the like outline of it is just really clean. I mean, G Gundam has a horse that pilots a horse, so what you should take away from this is that G Gundam is amazing. Yeah, you can already see the difference that like a couple of levels and not fighting units that have A terrain rankings is making on the ability of like the custom characters to contribute. Actually, it does get used in space in Build Divers. I believe Re-Rise actually uses a different, like almost never seen marine use unit during that one episode where they like battle a aquatic specialist team because they need parts for the planet system that Hiroto is trying to put together. I think it really says a lot about where Gundam is at that the series recently that have been, one, the better shows, but also two, the better Gundam shows have been the build ones, which are like a spin-off aimed at kids mostly. Although Re-Rise is really not a kid show. I want Re-Rise in a Super Robot Wars so fucking much, but I feel like it's not gonna happen. In particular, it really lacks the like social media presence that Witch and now GQ had. Because like Witch was custom designed to appeal to Western social media, and it succeeded at that incredibly well. And surprising no one, Witch is in Super Robot Wars. Yeah. Re-Rise wouldn't be the first game thing show that they've included. They did Virtual On in Alpha 3, which was really good. but it would definitely be much harder to include than Virtual On because that didn't have any plot or anything attached to it. Oh, you get a chance step from that? Okay. Works Jin is unbreakable. I'm gonna leave you tucked in over here, I think. So I should now be good. Yeah. Yes, unfortunately for me, building a Gunpla is just never going to happen. So if I want to do that, I load up Gundam Breaker 4 and I build a Gunpla in that instead. Yeah, the character references in Build Fighters were really nice. Yeah, Re-Rise is such a good show. It's easily the best Gundam show they've put out since IBO Season 1. And unlike Iron-Blooded Orphans, Re-Rise doesn't have a second season that ruins the show. Alright, what have you got? Reflexes. Who did I say had a plus reaction set up? I think I had that on Yuki, right? No? Plus reaction. Wow, nobody went. Oh no, Keres, that's right, who isn't actually deployed at the moment. That wasn't very clever. Alright, let's put it on the... Actually, I'll let Kira do it and then I can just put it on someone else later. The Archangel does have a get gauge though. I should seriously contemplate the merits of that. Okay, well, never mind then. I mean, the first half of the second season could be okay. The bit with Hushmal is genuinely great, but that's only 3 episodes of the show. Yeah, Re-Rise also asks you to understand how quantum entanglement works, which is not a straightforward thing.
もう銃を撃ってしまった僕だから。
Yeah, it doesn't do the best job it could, but it doesn't want to get like super bogged down in technical details.
キラヤマト、やはり君なのか。なぜ君が。 お前こそなんでそんなものに乗っている。
It is specifically another planet though, just one that's like a long way away.
好きにはさせない。そんな動
Well,
きで
you aren't. He didn't hit you, Atherin, that's the point. G Reiko, you are not missing anything. That show is actually terrible.
しまった。致命傷じゃない。まだやられるわけには。
Everyone get back in the ship because we all ran out of energy. Yeah. If I had like a particular criticism of Re-Rise, it's that you have to watch Build Divers first or it doesn't make much sense. And Build Divers is fairly average for most of the show. The back half of it is really good, but the first half is kind of whatever unless you are already a big Gundam fan and can really appreciate the really like niche units that were referenced. But the climactic fights in both arcs of the show are really good, and it has some of the better character writing in Gundam. I mean, Build has always been like that. Like, the Isla and Reiji romance in Build Fighters the original is pretty much legitimately the only well-written romance in any Gundam series. Yeah, so the idea is that the original alien inhabitants basically ascended to become beings like information beings, which is why they were able to create stuff like Alice, who is like a supercomputer that is conscious, and so that's why they were able to like infiltrate into GBN, which is a broadcast network. That part they actually make explicit, that the reason that legitimate AIs have started showing up is because they're actually fragments of those information beings. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty pseudo-canonical, but it was a really nice reference to come back to. Especially since, again, like, the only good relationship that has ever been in a Gundam series is Isla and Reiji's, so... Oh shit. Well, there goes my Phoenix Gundam. Fortunately, losing the master is not an automatic game over in this game.
僕がやるしかないんだ。
They're the people who originally made him, his creators. Okay, well that was a lot more damage than I thought it was going to do. So, rip those.
やめろキラ、僕たちは敵じゃない。そうだろ。なぜ僕たちが戦わなくちゃならない。
アスラン、許してくれ。
敵は見逃せないんだ。
Yeah, I mean, other than rewrite. Okay. I meant like compared to what came before it, but yes, you are correct. Re-Rise has really well written relationships.
戦わなきゃ守れないものもあるから。捉えた。
まだだ。まだ俺に戦う力は残っている。 同じコーディネーターのお前がなぜ地球軍にいる。なぜナチュラルの味方をするんだ。
僕は地球軍じゃない。けどあの船には仲間が、友達が乗ってるんだ。君こそなんでザフトになんか、なんで戦争をしたりするんだ。
Oh, okay, I can now say confidently that Eternal and this game were localized using the same process because they both had the exact same inaccurate translation of that line that Kira had about Atherin working with Zaft. Yeah, I can actually see that. Yeah, this game has much better animations than Genesis did. That was like my main complaint about Genesis, is that most of the animations were pretty bad. And in this game, they are very much not. Yeah.
からのナチュラルどもがこんなものを作るから。
ヘリオポリスは中立だ。 僕だって。なのに向かってくるなら倒すしかない。好きにはさせない。前に出てくるなら戦うしかない。もらったぞ。落ちろ。かすった。でもこの程度なら。
So, like, for a bunch of reasons, I don't really think that it's feasible that they would have just reused the text from this. Part of the reason for that is because of how text is likely stored in this game and how it's stored likely in Eternal, but it is possible. Yeah, except they don't usually actually work like that. The way that most companies store data for stuff like this is very shit. Oh, I was right, it did change into a space back. So that's why it was Space Train in the first place, because otherwise you could, like, put out a non-space use unit, and then it would have to, like, transfer to this half of the stage. It's more that most of them still have very archaic data storage protocols, especially for Japanese companies.
GUNDAM 行きます。
Ha! Okay, that's pretty great.
えた。アークエンジェルはやらせんさ。
Alright, hold on. What have you got? Marksmanship. Alright, let's send you down here. Yeah, that happens in the same battle where Kira pops his seed factor for the first time. Part of Isaac's console explodes. And he ends up with a big scar across his face. Well, do yourself a favor and don't watch the remaster, which is actually awful. Like a lot of fake HD remakes, instead of doing something like, you know, actually remastering it, they just zoomed in so that on the center of the 4:3 screen, so that it filled the 16:9 widescreen. So the whole thing is just like zoomed in and blurry and looks really shit, except for the new animation, which looks really good. And the like ultra zoomed in way that they've done it also reveals a bunch of technical errors in the original that were not addressed. So it's just a really lazy it's more like a demaster than a remaster. Yeah, that he actually does during the interval between Seed and Seed Destiny, because Isaac is over it. He does, in fact, have the scar removed. Wait, I thought Days Gone died a while ago. Days Gone. Oh, no, wait, this is the motorbike one. I played a bit of this, but didn't really enjoy it. What did they, That doesn't actually surprise me. It's not actually the scar that Isaac is mad about. He's mad about being handed like such a direct loss. He keeps the scar as a reminder of that. He's not actually mad about the scar itself. Okay. Yeah, that's not what I expected at all. Wait, do I have the map attack? Would that make too much sense? Damn, okay. I was hopeful that we'd have a map weapon. Yeah, simulcast rights don't last very long, so you'll have to look them up on another site or get a torrent. Lauren, you're way behind, I think. I had forgotten that Kira actually has a different high tension theme in this game. Despite not actually having his seed skill yet. Like, this version of the character just has coordinator, not seed. Geez, these are some good looking skills that they've got. So as you can see by looking at where my guys' stats are, there's like not really much benefit to raising unit stats at the moment other than HP and energy. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense as well. Oh wait, helps if I don't forget to move this one. Oh boy, okay, we are not off to a great start. That's really impressive. Yeah, definitely, because she's really good as Yume, and that wouldn't have been an easy role, since that's, like, very different from normal roles. God damn it. Yeah, that'll happen over time. You can kind of use the one of the reasons that I keep the chat up on the stream itself is, one, in case I decide to like record stuff, but also if it takes forever for what you're saying to show up on stream, then there's a good chance that you're fairly well behind. Please actually hit this time. Yay. Actually, I may have to start looking at, I mean, not for this one, but I am going to have to start raising mobility now, because my, the characters are starting to get up to, like, over 130, which is where the tornado stats are at. Really? Oh, I forgot Muru is actually here. I don't know how I'm gonna get you around here without dying though. I guess shooting from here is fine. That's great. Yeah, no, I mean, on the stream itself, you can see that I've got the chat up in one corner. So if what you're saying takes a while to show up in that chat, then there's a good chance that you've fallen behind because of, like, buffering or stuff. Up here, up above my head.
パガンダだろうと二つ名で呼ばれるには理由があんだよ。
That's actually a bit of a deep cut, since the details behind Wilfaga's ace title are never discussed in the show itself, only in like extra materials.
「この機体の性能貴様らで確かめさせてもらう」「そんな戦い方で俺にかなうものか！腰抜けが！
何？
Well, so much for supercharged state.
戦わなきゃ守れないものもあるから捉えたさせるもんかちょこまかと手こずらせてくれる
早速ですが、この新型使わせてもらいますよ。あの動き、ナチュラルが乗っているとは思えない。
これで
Yeah, that game has a lot of really cool, like, extra scenario stuff.
まさに羊の皮をかぶった狼ということでしょうか。
Dude, Maggie is such a good character.
まだ私は
Like, gay stereotype, but it's a G Gundam stereotype was honestly not what I was expecting, and it's really good.
なんとか勝てたみたい。よかった。
Wow, that even overkilled. I may be about to be annoyed about that. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. Oh, she somehow also got the ranged weapons efficiency one. Alright. Yeah, I need to start actually raising mobility on that one. Wow, I am not doing a good job of pressing buttons on this one. Yeah, I mean, the fact that the G Gundam representative character is like, yeah, I used to be kind of a shit, and then like Maggie beat me up and taught me better, is really good. Yeah, but there's also the G Gundam aspect where it's like taking a stereotype that already exists and then exaggerating it to such a point that it becomes really awesome. Captain Zeon. The fact that Captain Zeon is heavily implied to be Rommel's alt account honestly makes that so much funnier. Perfect. Okay, good. We are in depth charge range. Fucking perish. I don't super care about the Mobius Zero, but I really want to improve the Strike Gundam's get gauge, because Strike is really good. Ow. I know we've had this conversation a few times, but I cannot get over the degree to which Jared saying that out loud instead of thinking it, like, irreparably altered the timeline of Universal Century. Oh, I did not know that he was Max Genius. That's really cool. Sandman I can definitely see.
もう銃を撃ってしまった僕だから
And he basically uses the same voice for Sandman and he does for Aizen, so... Yeah, so one of the jokes with Eminence is that all of the, like, generic characters have really goofy names.
これ以上戦争なんか続けちゃいけないんださせるもんか
Yeah, that checks out.
撤退したら敗因を分析しないと
Nice subtitles, game. Just did include subtitles for that line, okay.
僕にはまだやらなきゃいけないことがあるんだ
Yeah, I knew that Aizen and Kanji had the same voice actor. Because, again, he uses basically the same voice for Aizen that he does for Kanji. So, the English translation doesn't really convey it, but in this scene in the actual show, even in the remaster, Flay addresses Kira first as Omae, which is like super rude to actually say to someone to their face, and then she addresses him as Sai's friend rather than actually knowing his name, which is really funny. I should hope that he didn't, given that Camille is like actually unhinged. Like Super Robot Wars and G Generation generally like really gloss over it, but Camille is actually a lunatic. No, she's not. That's one of the reasons that she's one of my favorite characters. She's absolutely not a good person, and that makes her extremely entertaining. Okay, so my initial plan was that I would actually go for longer. Okay, Ludwig, hello. But my headphones are running out of batteries, and I need to charge them because I otherwise cannot actually stream stuff without things getting in the way. But I need to figure out what I'm gonna do over here because we are not doing too well. Maybe we should just go with the Astray Blue frame. And then over here, yeah, Yeah, I can't actually produce like a Phoenix Gundam or anything, so I guess we'll just like make another blue frame. So yeah, because those units got shot down, they're gone. Like, you don't just repair them, you have to put an entirely new unit in. So what I really like about Flay is that even though she's pretty powerless in terms of like what kind of abilities she has, like she's a natural, she doesn't have anything else going for her, but she puts what she does have, like she said, when she eventually gets herself together, she sets a goal for herself and she sets out to do it with what she's got, and she does it very well, which honestly I respect it. Right, can I level anything up though? I mean, not into anything good, but I can add a Phoenix Zero to the production chart, so that's good. Adding a Jin would be really nice. These are like very good units. Their stats are a bit low, but they've got really good weapons and they have good like evolution options. Okay, so having done that, I'm going to go over to dispatches, and this is how we're going to finish out the day. Yeah, that's why Luna always has like completely shit like accuracy in Super Robot Wars. Yeah, nobody's good at that one. And as you can see, doing dispatches is also very difficult because getting these abilities is really hard. So that now that I've done dispatches, like we're done, I'm not permitted to play anymore until the dispatches are done. Then I come back, we get the dispatch rewards, we play more stages. But for now, I am going to call it quits because I cannot keep going without headphones. So I will see you guys soon. I hope maybe Thursday, no promises. So thank you for dropping by. See you soon. If you want to get involved in this, there's a link to my Discord below, and it has a channel that has all the information you need.